Good morning, everyone. I am Kristen Campbell, and I am incredibly proud to serve as the superintendent of the East Penn School District. It is an extreme honor to welcome Governor Shapiro, Dr. Mumeen, Secretary of Education, Representative Pete Schweier, Senator Nick Miller, Representative Jean McNeil, Representative Mike Schlosser, County Executive Phil Armstrong, Council President of Emmaus Borough Chad Balliet, Dr. Josh Levinson, President of the East Penn School Board, Mr. Adam Smith, Vice President of the East Penn School Board, and all of you, our esteemed guests. I welcome you to the East Penn School District and Emmaus High School. Quick bit of background about us here in East Penn. We serve a community of 8,000 students in kindergarten through 12th grade. We have 7 elementary buildings, 2 middle schools, and 1 high school, which is where we are, Emmaus High School, under the leadership of Principal Beth Gariello. We are fortunate to have 2,800 talented students who have access to a breadth of academic, athletic, and co-curricular opportunities. In addition to the broad repertoire of courses that our students take here at Emmaus, we have a strong collaboration with local colleges and universities to offer dual enrollment opportunities. Our students have access to Lehigh Career and Technical Institute that offers top-notch career and technical education. And we also have partnerships with local businesses and communities to offer field study experiences for our students. Similarly, in East Penn, we've developed a profile of a graduate. This identifies skills and attributes that we want our students to develop throughout their educational career. In addition to their academic and social-emotional growth, we want our East Penn students to be effective communicators, critical thinkers, collaborators. We want them to be empathetic. We want them to be reflective, confident, and resilient young adults. Fulfilling our portrait of a graduate is a lofty mission and one that requires a significant investment of time and material, human, and financial resources. And the recent state budget that was signed by Governor Shapiro represents a significant investment of financial resources that are going to support our students here in East Penn and other schools across the Commonwealth. Specifically, the new adequacy formula is a marked step forward in equitably funding Pennsylvania schools. In East Penn, the additional state revenues, which totaled almost $2 million for us, were critical in helping us in various ways, including offering a fair and competitive collective bargaining agreement for our teachers and other valued professional staff. In addition, we used a portion of these funds to transition support staff positions from part-time to full-time, and these essential members of our East Penn team support our students with disabilities in specialized programs throughout all of our schools. And finally, the revenues will be used to support significant facilities work here in East Penn that's going to result in a K-8 grade realignment. These changes will address future capacity concerns in many of our schools, and more importantly, these changes are going to create enhanced and equitable opportunities for all students here in East Penn. I also want to recognize Governor Shapiro's commitment to supporting school safety and the mental needs of Pennsylvania students. We know that our students' social, emotional, and mental health needs are becoming increasingly complex. And all of us in this room know that our students' mental well-being and their academic success are inextricably linked. Through the use of state funds, East Penn has hired personnel to provide tiered interventions and targeted supports for our students. We've invested in an additional school counselor, school psychologist, student advisors, and behavior specialists to address our students' mental, emotional, and behavioral health needs. Furthermore, the enhanced state funding in the area of school safety has helped us make enhancements to our physical safety, including both structural changes as well as programmatic changes. Collectively, the recent increase in state funding for Pennsylvania schools by Governor Shapiro represents a notable step forward for the East Penn School District. This funding brings essential financial resources to address our needs, bridge gaps, and create new opportunities for our students. We extend our sincere gratitude to Governor Shapiro and his leadership team for their continued commitment to education. This investment in our schools is an investment in East Penn's and Pennsylvania's future. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Khalid Moumin, Secretary of the Department of Education. Dr. Moumin brings over 25 years of committed service to Pennsylvania children through his work as a teacher, school and district leader, and now at the state level. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Moumin.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Let's try this again. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much. I am Secretary of Education, Dr. Khalid Moumin, and it feels so good to be here in the home of the Hornets. Now, I will be very transparent. I'm looking at the Hornet there, and it's bringing back some memories. The Hornet in the Red Knight, where we were facing the Cacareese twins, and what phenomenal athletes they were, and also phenomenal scholars. Also, it makes me think of field hockey, and it makes me think of those battles at Poetry Out Loud. So this community, I am so thankful to be here in this community where you openly celebrate athletics, academics, and the arts. It is a community thing. And I'm so thankful to be here with Governor Josh Shapiro to talk about these investments today. You know, as a former leader and administrator, I know firsthand how critical our schools are to our communities and to our Commonwealth. And I also know for far too long, school districts have been under-resourced and underfunded. But today, thanks to the historic investments that Governor Shapiro has made 2 years in a row, the focus and attention that this administration has given to education here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and the commitment to continuing that support, I know that our school districts are poised for greatness. And every day at PDE, we see firsthand the benefits that come from investing in our schools, educators, students, and communities. The support we give learners, whether that's free breakfast, mental health services, or menstrual products. It's the support that we give our educators, like student teacher stipends and enhanced professional development. And the support we give our schools through infrastructure improvements and safety supports. All of these investments that we make today will pay dividends in the future. So I thank Governor Josh Shapiro for his steadfast leadership. And those of you who know me know I'm going to tell it to you straight, with straight authenticity. And I can tell you from day one when I met with Governor Shapiro, he said, we're going to get stuff done in education. And he doubled down on it. So on behalf of the Pennsylvania Department of Education and on behalf of all of the Pennsylvania learners here in the Commonwealth, thank you, Governor Shapiro. Thank you so much. Thank you. And it's my pleasure to welcome to the microphone Representative Schweier.
Dr. Moumin, thank you very much. First and foremost, how's everybody doing out there today? Yeah, that's pretty weak. This budget delivered $1.2 billion additional dollars for schools across the Commonwealth. Here in Emmaus, $3.1 million additional dollars that's going to be used to invest in our kids. So we should be feeling pretty good. There's a Hornet back there. Usually Schlossberg's the one in the mascot outfit.
Left it at home, okay?
Next time, Mike. So on behalf of all my colleagues, Representative McNeil, we have representatives here from Representative Josh Siegel's office. Josh, by the way, is on his honeymoon. He gets a pass today. I want to thank Governor Shapiro for your incredible leadership in helping us deliver historic investment in our schools. You know, last year, I have the honor and privilege of serving as majority chair of the House Education Committee. And so Dr. Moumin and I meet regularly to talk about the things that we'd love to be able to do if we only had the resources to do it. But then we had a conversation with Governor Shapiro. He goes, So let's get the resources and let's do those things that we need to do to deliver a quality education and truly invest in all of our kids. And my kids go to the Allentown School District. My oldest is a senior at, by the way, Dr. Carol Burks, our superintendent. Also with us is Miss Lynn Fooney Hetton, who's the superintendent of the Salisbury School District. Thank you for being here. And you know, my journey for really truly understanding the differences between schools actually started here in this high school. Dr. Campbell was kind enough to give me a tour when I first started representing the East Penn School District. And this school is amazing. You know, I saw architecture and engineering classes for 12th graders. The school is absolutely beautiful. They have an emotional support dog that visits here that helps keep the school calm and making sure our kids are engaged in a very deep and meaningful way. This is the kind of school that every parent should want to send their children to. And I commend you, your leadership on your board for having this tremendous product. But I also realized that my kids deserve that too, just on the other side of 31st Street Southwest, which is literally the road that borders Allentown and East Penn. But what we never wanted to do was hurt our school districts that are doing well in order to help those that needed a little bit more assistance. And so the brilliance of the budget that Governor Shapiro led and that we ultimately were able to pass is that we're investing in underfunded school districts. We're investing in the specific needs of the kids in those school districts. And they're all different, whether you're in rural central Pennsylvania or an urban community like mine in Allentown, they all have very different needs. We're investing in growing school districts like East Penn because we want to make sure we're able to help them keep up with their growing needs and the growing district here. But we're never going to take away from those high achieving districts. This isn't about leveling the playing field. This is about raising everybody to make sure that all of our kids get what they need. Because all of our kids are smart, capable, and care about their futures. Their family cares about their futures. And if we just make sure that they all have the same access, not only will they do great, but the Commonwealth as a whole will do great. One of my partners throughout this entire process is my friend, there you go, Senator Nick Miller. So Senator Miller is my state senator in Allentown. He's also the state senator here in the borough of Emmaus, also represents this high school, and was incredibly helpful on our process through the Basic Education Funding Commission. And Senator, I'd like to turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Pete. It really is an exciting day here in the Lehigh Valley. It's a beautiful day. It's exciting not for just because we're here to celebrate wins and not because the Philadelphia Eagles start their season tomorrow, but because we can celebrate working together as a team. A lot of the key decision makers are here today. Governor Shapiro, Secretary of Education, our Education Majority Chair, Schlossberg, Jeannie McNeil. I mean, we really have a great core of people working together to get some things done. So first of all, I want to thank the governor for his commitment, not just to the students of the Lehigh Valley, but the students of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and your commitment to deliver. And I want a round of applause for Governor Shapiro. So I know we have a number of speakers, but I want to make two points of emphasis. One is for facilities. We're standing in a room with air conditioning, but not every school has air conditioning in the Lehigh Valley alone. We made an investment of more than $100 million in facilities alone. And I think of like the Allentown School District and those students. I served as a school board member there and saw the realities of that underfunding. And to deliver on that in year two of Governor Shapiro and my Senate term, that's a big win. So, yeah, Dr. Burks over here celebrating that, I know that too. Another thing is remediating lead and asbestos in our buildings and to have students that can be exposed to that and the impacts on those lives moving forward. It's something that we're proud that we were making that investment to continue to invest in our facilities and our students because they deserve to feel valued. And so having classrooms that are learning environments conducive to learning, it's something that we're going to continue to strive for. Secondly and lastly, our career and technical training. We put about $30 million into CTE and think that's career readiness, whether it's robotics, advanced manufacturing, meeting the workforce and the business industry partners that are looking for the workforce of tomorrow, and making sure that our students have the opportunities to take an intro to polymer engineering or machine learning or advanced manufacturing. That's the opportunities that we want to provide for our students. And that's what we did and delivered here in this budget as well. So I want to thank the governor again and our secretary and Representative Schweier has been a phenomenal partner in the education world. I look forward to continuing that success And another person that was a key person in this process, Dan Yue from the Education Law Center. I'm going to turn it over to you to talk a little bit about the data behind that and all the wins that you help deliver as well. Thank you very much.
Hey everybody, my name is Dan Jorvik Acklesberg. Why they call me Dan Yue, because it's kind of hard to say that. So I'm an attorney at the Public Interest Law Center in Philadelphia, where along with my colleagues there and our co-counsel at the Education Law Center and a law firm called Melvin and Myers, we had the true honor of representing the courageous school districts and organizations and families that brought and won the school funding lawsuit that resulted in our school funding system being declared unconstitutional. So that case was a long effort. It was filed way back in 2014. And when we were actually getting ready for trial in 2021, we had a small meeting with then Attorney General Josh Shapiro. We told him that we planned to win the case, but we knew realistically that winning would be no small task. And so we asked the Attorney General to do something unusual. Rather than defend the case as his predecessors had done, we asked him as the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the Commonwealth to argue on our behalf that the Constitution was being violated. We asked him to take a stand for justice. And you know what? That's exactly what the Attorney General did. What our Constitution required had never actually been spelled out, but in came the Attorney General, who argued on our behalf in soaring words that all children in this Commonwealth were entitled to a comprehensive, effective, and contemporary public education, and that children were being deprived of that right because of the way we fund our public schools. In 2023, we won, and when we did, the court adopted the now former Attorney General, and now Governor's legal position, that all children were in fact required to have a contemporary, comprehensive public education. That's what the Constitution requires. When we won, the court said, I'm going to give you all, the governor, and the legislative branch, working alongside petitioners, us, the first opportunity to get this right, to get to work and come up with a system that brings our educational system into constitutional compliance. Which brings us to the legislation we are here to talk about today. Now, I don't think anything is perfect, but the legislation that was passed, that we are here to celebrate, that was passed on a bipartisan basis, starts with answering the most foundational question a school funding system should have. What do our children need to be successful? What do children in poverty need? What do children with disabilities need? What do children learning English need? What do all children need to be successful? And according to this law, you can look this up on the Department of Education's website, the Commonwealth needed, as of this summer, an additional $4.5 billion in state funding directed to the most underfunded districts. We started that path this year with about $500 million going out to the districts that need it most. But that is not money for money's sake, as you have heard. It is to hire the teacher who inspires, the counselor who helps a child in a crisis, the librarian who opens up new horizons, the tutor who catches a struggling student up. In other words, funding is to hire the educators who can change the trajectory of a child's life. That is the good, and it is a lot of good. But I don't want us to pretend like the task has been completed. The version of this legislation that came out of the House originally had a 7-year commitment to once and for all bring the system into constitutional compliance. And in the budget process in Harrisburg, in order to get an agreement, that commitment was taken out of the legislation. And while this year's money is critical, we have billions of dollars to go with children that don't have the luxury to wait a decade for us to get this right. And with school leaders who need to know they will have the funds so that they can plan on how to build out the schools their students deserve. So it's going to take hard work from all of us to finish this job. The brave school leaders who made this lawsuit happen, the Attorney General who took a stand and became governor, the General Assembly who worked to get it right, the parents and activists and citizens who demanded it be fixed once and for all, the educators who do this job every day, and of course the students who walk in these halls. We all need to work together to get this done. So we need to celebrate today, and then we need to double down. We need to commit to finish the job so that every child can go to a Pennsylvania public school with the resources the Constitution and justice requires. And with that, I am really pleased to turn it over to a teacher in this school district, Mr. Eric Luckenbill. Thank you very much.
Go get him, Coach.
Wow. Good morning. On behalf of the faculty and staff of the East Penn School District, it is an honor and a privilege to be here today. I'd like to welcome Governor Shapiro, his staff, members of the press community, and all of the esteemed colleagues for being with us. It's great to see some Emmaus High School students in here as well. My name is Eric Luckenbill, and last week I began my 18th year teaching here at Emmaus High School. It is an honor to work in this building and to help kids become East Penn proud. The opportunity to teach in a public school like Emmaus has been my life's version of winning the lottery. Like many in this room, I would not be here where I am today without the support and quality of public schools in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. My public school upbringing gave me a platform and preparation to succeed in college and prepare for my career here at Emmaus. My wife, Heidi, is a public school teacher as well. And she and I have been able to build an amazing life for our family, where our two children, Matthew and Hannah, are excited to go to a public school each day as they continue to grow into the great people with the world at their fingertips. The support of public education from Governor Shapiro, the Pennsylvania General Assembly, and communities around our state allows educators like myself to spend our time sharing with students our passions, like my passion for American history and government. I'm a proud member of our social studies department, which collaborates to help students become engaged and motivated citizens, while also building 21st century skills to help students succeed and achieve. From the art students portraying inspired work, language classes, reading works from the past and present, our science, business, and math teachers preparing the next generation for higher learning, language classes, and a plethora of other electives building well-rounded students, like you saw with our amazing musicians as we came in. Every day, this building is filled with great people, and it's possible because of the commitment of our community and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to support and invest in public education. The bill that Governor Shapiro is here to sign today is the latest example of our state's enormous commitment and investment to make sure that our public schools have the funding it needs to prepare our students for their future, to guide and support them as they become future leaders and members of society. This bill's examples of commitments and investment will help educators show our students that a high-quality education like the one they receive here in East Penn can be what it was for me, their equivalent of winning the lottery. I'm very, very thankful for the opportunity to be here today to represent so many educators, both in this school district and around the state. Thank you so much for everyone being here today. It is my pleasure to introduce one of our amazing students, the president of our Student Government Association, Mariam Mahmood.
Great job. Great job. All right, Mariam, you got this.
Go get 'em.
Oh my God. Hi. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mariam, and I am Student Government President here at Emmaus High School, and I'm a current senior. Over the past 4 years within the school district, I've had the pleasure of meeting countless remarkable people whose support has shaped my high school experience. This includes not only some of my closest friends and peers, but also my teachers who have shaped me into who I am today. Their encouragement has been nothing short of extraordinary. From my counselor, who continues to make sure I don't overwhelm myself since the moment I stopped to her in her office in sophomore year, to my homeroom teacher, who listens to my daily rants, and finally, to my teachers, whose willingness to help me with whatever their need. Their support has been a cornerstone of my high school journey. Many of you may not know this, but I was initially planning to homeschool after my freshman year, as I would have preferred to teach myself everything. At that time, I was unaware of the community and family I would come to be a part of here at Emmaus High School. Freshman year me would hardly believe all that we have accomplished and all the amazing people who we get to call our closest friends. Without this incredible community, I wouldn't be standing before you today. Emmaus High School has given me the space and resources to explore my passions, such as the field study program that Dr. Campbell talked about. And because of this, I'm excited to continue this journey as I pursue a pre-med major in college. Thank you to my peers, thank you to my teachers, thank you to Mrs. G and Dr. Campbell for the opportunity to speak in front of you today. And thank you to Governor Shapiro for allowing thousands of students just like myself to have access to the resources I've had here at Emmaus. Now it's my greatest pleasure to introduce the man of the hour himself, Governor Shapiro.
Thank you. Here, stay up here for a sec. Thank you. Man, it is so good to be here in Emmaus, and I want to just say about Miriam, you are super impressive.
Oh, thank you so much.
Like super impressive. And I just wish for you that the sky is always the limit, that there are no boundaries for you.
So sweet.
You've got an amazing, thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah.
You've got an amazing foundation here, but you took advantage of every opportunity
I
here.
really did.
And I think it was so cool to hear you speak, but what was really cool was to see your classmates looking at you all proud and smiling, and it's just awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Thank you. So it is great to be with all of you today and to have the opportunity to be here in Emmaus to sign this historic legislation investing in education across this Commonwealth. I want you to know I could not be more proud to serve as your governor, the 48th governor of Pennsylvania. And one of the great points of pride is that I get to travel, visit everywhere, meet people where they are in their communities. Just yesterday, I was in Montgomery County, I was in Pittsburgh, I was in rural Tioga County, suburban, urban, and rural communities. And you know what? While the grounds look real different, the topography changes quite a bit. The people kind of look different in the communities you show up in at times. Folks basically want the same four things here in the Commonwealth. They want really good schools for their kids and grandkids. They want safe communities to live in. They want economic opportunities in their neighborhoods so they can stay in the places that they love. And they want their rights and their freedoms protected. Now, sometimes it's hard to figure out exactly how to accomplish those four basic Pennsylvania principles. But I want you to know we work incredibly hard every single day to do that work. I know we got a bunch of students here, and I know, Mr. Luckenbill, your history and social studies teacher is here. You're not allowed to look at him when I ask you this question. But we got to have a little bit of Q&A in order to get at the business at hand here. How many branches are there in our state government? Yes. 3. Who could tell me what they are? Raise your hand. Huh? The Hornet raised their hand back there? Nah, come on. You said 3. Go ahead. What are they? Economics are important. Legislative. How about another one? Yes. Executive. And yes. Judicial. Executive. Who's the executive in Pennsylvania? Yeah, the governor. And who's the legislative in Pennsylvania? The state Senate and House. And we are privileged today to be joined by some of the members of the legislative branch, leaders in the legislative branch. Chairman Pete Schweier, who leads the Education Committee, Representative Jean McNeil, Representative Mike Schlossberg, and Senator Nick Miller. These are all members of the legislative branch. And then what's that third branch? Started with a J. Yeah. Judicial. And who's in the judicial branch? They wear robes. Our judges, right. Now, we don't have any judges here today because we didn't do anything wrong. But I'll tell you why they're important. And that comes back to education and the unique system that we have here in Pennsylvania. Okay. In order for a bill to become a law in our Commonwealth, we talked about the 3 branches. What has to happen? Raise your hand. Come on. How's a bill become law? Y'all know this. Don't look at your teacher. All the way in the back? Yes. Has to pass the House, has to pass the Senate, and then it gets signed by the governor right over there. Here's a question for you. When it gets passed in the House and Senate, does it have to be the same bill? Yeah. It has to be exactly the same bill. The same words, the same numbers, the same commas, the same periods. It's really, really hard to do that work. Let me tell you what makes it even harder in Pennsylvania. The Senate and the House are led by two different parties. Now, I'm not here to talk politics with you, but can you imagine how difficult it is to get Republicans and Democrats to agree to pass the exact same bill and get it to my desk? That seems pretty hard, right? Yet here's what's important for you to know. Republicans and Democrats came together to pass an historic education bill because everybody cares about you, especially the people who are here in this room today. Representative Schweier, McNeil, Schlossberg, Senator Miller, they care a lot about you. Now, the work to pass that bill was even more challenging this time because of that third branch of government, which was what? Legislative and executive. What was the third again? Judicial. Now, why was it more challenging? The courts, our judges, oftentimes review things we do to determine whether or not they're legal or not, or whether or not they comport, they follow our state constitution, whether they're constitutional. You know, for years that we've been doing this work in Harrisburg, we kind of knew that the way we were investing in our schools didn't quite feel right, wasn't maybe getting the job done. And a group of school districts, led by wonderful advocates, including one who's here today, Dan Yue, a lawyer, decided to go to court, to go to that third branch of government and say, hey, I think the way we're funding our schools is not only not right, but it's not constitutional. Because our state constitution quite literally says you, these students, have a right to a thorough and efficient education system, which are fancy words for you have a right to a quality education, right? Well, how do we make sure we have a quality education? We took that issue to court. I supported that work. You heard about that before from Dan Yue. These representatives and senators supported that work. And you know what the court found? The court wrote a long opinion. And the court said that we're not meeting that constitutional mandate, meaning the way we're funding our schools isn't legal. And do you know what they said the remedy was? That we need more money, but importantly, it wasn't just about writing a blank check. It was making sure that the districts that needed the money most, the students that needed the most help, would get those resources. Now, courts have a really good way of writing down what their opinions are. But sometimes, and lawyers here understand this, it's like really hard to understand what the remedy is. The word remedy means like how you're going to address the problem. Really, really interesting here. What'd the court say? The court said, okay, it's unconstitutional, and this is the remedy. The representatives, the senators, the governor, and the advocates need to come together and come up with a plan to fix our system, to invest in our schools and make sure those dollars get to the right school districts. And you know what? We all came together. Democrats, Republicans, House members, Senate members, people inside government and people outside government. And we came up with a plan through a commission led by Chairman Schweier, and then ultimately through legislation that was passed in the House and Senate, which I'm going to sign here in a moment. That plan not only invested an historic $11 billion in public education, including about $1.2 billion in new money. But what it said was about 64% of all that new money was going to be sent out to the districts that needed it most, where the students needed the most help, where there was such a demand on local taxpayers that we needed to make sure that the state stepped up and did its part. That's a really, really big deal. And that is ultimately what was signed into law, or will be signed into law. Now, it's really important to note that this is not just one and done, that we need to continue to make these investments in public education. Every single year, the governor presents to the legislature a budget that invests in a whole bunch of things, including education. And you can mark my words, I'll be coming back next year to continue this progress we're making on education, to continue to invest meaningfully in the future success of students like Miriam and all of you. This is our responsibility. This is our legal responsibility to do this work. Now, I know it's hard to imagine what $11 billion means, or an extra $1.2 billion overall to our schools. Let me break it down a little bit further for the East Penn School District. It means almost $25 million in funding that's coming from the state in this budget that we're about to sign just for this school district. That's 12% more than last year, nearly $3 million more than last year. And it includes about $1 million in those funds that are being driven out in the new formula for the districts that need it most. Let me break it down even further for you. It means more opportunities to have smaller class sizes, more STEM education, more money for VOTEC. I think you all call it CTE now, right? Isn't that what you call it? More CTE. Because here's the thing, if you want to be a laborer or a lawyer in life, both pathways to opportunity should be respected in our Commonwealth. And we should give you that opportunity to succeed. It means more opportunity to invest in one of the things I have heard you loud and clear on, and that is the mental health of students. We're so excited to be able to not just provide $200 million for mental health supports, but to hear your superintendent talk about how that's translated into more professionals here in our schools for our young people. Can I keep going? Is that all right?
You got it.
Okay. That's super important to us. Senator Miller talked about how schools that aren't as wonderful and beautiful as yours are going to now have dollars available to help them get rebuilt, to help deal with asbestos and lead in the school. That's super important. Making sure that every student, when they show up to school, gets free breakfast, something we fought really hard for. Because here's the thing, I can't work on an empty belly. You sure as heck can't learn on an empty belly. And it's really important that that be done. Here's a priority of my wife, our First Lady in Pennsylvania, that we got done. Making sure all women and girls in our schools have access to menstrual products. Pads and tampons should be free because you shouldn't have to miss school just because you can't afford them. We want to make sure that there's a range of access to extracurricular activities. Whether you play sports, whether you're in the band, whether you're in the chess club, whatever, we want to make sure that that's available to you. And these investments that we're making are going to help this school district and school districts all across Pennsylvania ensure that their students have a great education, a constitutional education, and a foundation upon which to make sure you can chart your own course and you have the opportunity to succeed here in Pennsylvania. Listen, we believe in you, and we believe that our future in Pennsylvania is directly linked to your success. We're counting on you. We're counting on you to be the best selves you can be, because we know when you're your best self, you can help us achieve great things in Pennsylvania. Now, I'm really grateful for all the kind words that were thrown my way for the work that we did to get this budget here today. But understand, as we said before from the opening question, in politics, there's three branches of government: a court who challenged us, and then legislators who stepped up and did this hard work to pass these budgets. I want you to know that here in the Lehigh Valley, you've got great leadership. Senator Miller is a terrific senator. Representative Schlossberg is a great state representative. Representative McNeil fights for you every day and gets the job done, and we are grateful to her. I want to take a minute and talk about Chairman Schweier, because this bill that I'm about to sign does not get to my desk unless it first passes out of the Education Committee. And this guy made sure that the bill that came out of the Education Committee invested in our students. Remember before when I said we're the only state in the whole country with that divided legislature? Well, I'll tell you what, it was really hard to get this done in a divided legislature. Yet the bill had to start in his committee and had to make it all the way through the process. I want the Lehigh Valley to appreciate the fact that they've got a major, big-time leader representing this community who never, ever, ever forgot where he came from. Now, when you become a chairman, for the students out there who haven't visited Chairman Schweier yet, you get a big fancy office. There's like leather chairs. There's like wood on the wall. He's got like gold chandeliers. And I say that sort of half joking, but listen, you get there and a lot of people forget where they came from because it looks so beautiful in their offices, because they feel real important. This guy never forgot where he came from. And importantly, he never forgot the stark differences between school districts that are minutes away and making sure all students get lifted up. That's a big deal. And so I want all the students here. I know you all got different views on different issues. Some of you are Democrats, some of you are all Republicans, some of you like me, some of you don't like me. It's all cool. But I want you to appreciate what you have here in the Lehigh Valley with your leadership. Elected leaders who went to work for you, who delivered for you, and who every year going forward are going to continue to work hard to deliver for you, because we all collectively believe that what happens here in these school districts are the key to our future in Pennsylvania. That's why I wanted to be here today, with great leaders like you have here, to sign this important bill into law, to show you just how much we care about you, and we're going to continue to fight for you. So I want to thank you for welcoming me here. I want to thank the Hornet for showing up and giving us a few moments of their time. And what I'm going to do is sign this bill, this historic bill into law, and then we'll come back and take some questions. Come on, guys. Come on, Mariam, come on over here. Rep, come on over. Mariam, you come here. I'm going to invite the reps to come over a little closer here, too. You're good. Here, you stand right here with Senator Miller.
We're in eye candy position.
You good? Okay. Are we ready? Yeah, please come on up.
This is the eye candy spot back here.
I'm like the eye gummy candy over here, so.
All right, here we go. Chairman, that's for you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Governor.
Good work. Schloss?
Thanks, Governor.
Great work.
Pleasure as always.
Senator, that's for you. Great work. And this is our historic education bill right here. You'll see I fixed my signature, Mariam, which makes it official. I'm the 48th governor, and I wrote "Go Hornets." So I'm going to leave this with your superintendent as a reminder of just how important the Hornets are in this whole process. Thank you very much. All right. We're going to take some questions over here from the media. Now, when I'm in a school, I like to hear from the student newspaper first. So, do we have any representatives of the student newspaper who are here? We do. Okay, awesome. You get the first question. What's your name?
My name's Aeon. I'm the editor-in-chief of the school newspaper, which is called The Stinger, after the Hornet.
Yeah, I got that's very good.
So according to an NPR article published earlier this year, teacher vacancies of both regular and subs are dramatically increasing in Pennsylvania. How do the budget and other initiatives that you've created incentivize teachers, bus drivers, and other staff to enter the field during this crisis?
I think that's an outstanding question. I'm grateful you asked it. We have a real challenge when it comes to recruiting new teachers. You heard from Mr. Luckenbill, you've been here almost 20 years, is that right? Which is outstanding. But the first thing he'll tell you is we need to make sure we've got a pipeline of wonderful teachers ready to take his place when he retires in 40 or 50 years. And so it is really important that we do that. And the problem is we don't have enough people going through the process of getting educated to be teachers. And those who do go through the process, we set up so many barriers that made it harder for them to get into the classroom. Now, the good news is these representatives and the senator and I came together around a plan, working together with Secretary Mumeen, working together with your leaders from the PSEA who are here today to come up with a solution to begin to address that. What's our solution? After you go through the process to be educated to be a teacher, you then have to go work in the classroom, and those are called student teachers. Well, the problem was when you were working to be a student teacher, you literally didn't get paid. A lot of student teachers had to go into debt in order to get their classroom time. Some of them dipped into their savings, where some of them, unfortunately, never got to pursue their passion of being a teacher. So what did we do? We put in place a stipend to pay student teachers when they're getting their training in the classroom. Last year, we appropriated $10 million, which sounds like a ton of money, but within 4 hours of student teachers applying for it, that money got wiped out. So the chairman of the Education Committee came back this year and said, we need to double it. And we passed a $20 million stipend. That money is driven out and is going to dry up, and we need to continue to build on that as well. So we're going to come back next year and do even more to help our student teachers. We think that is one really important step. We're also exploring other ways to incentivize people to go into teaching in Pennsylvania. Being a teacher is a noble profession, and there's a lot of service professions out there that we're struggling to fill across Pennsylvania, from teachers to firefighters to police officers, and we need to make sure all of them are filled. And so we're working on common sense bipartisan legislation to provide even further incentives to help people get in the classrooms and into other areas of our society to support our communities. Thank you for your question. Any other student? Yes.
I'm Karina McCallum. I'm managing editor of The Stinger. As you
We got the editor-in-chief and the managing editor. This is a lot of pressure on FMZ when you ask your questions. Holy cow. Go ahead.
Mental health has become a major concern in student populations in Pennsylvania, with the 2024 State of Education report saying that 2/3 of school districts reported student mental health as one of their major challenges, making it the most widely reported issue in education again this year. The Pennsylvania education budget allocates $200 million to be distributed statewide. Can you speak as to how school districts will utilize this funding to improve the wellness of students?
Well, you heard from Ms. Campbell earlier about the work that's being done in this school district with the dollars that we've driven out to be able to hire more mental health professionals, to be able to provide more resources. This school district is an example of how they're using those dollars to address student mental health. I will say that I view this as one of the biggest challenges young people face across Pennsylvania today. And I say that not just as your governor, but as the father of 4 young people, including 2 who are still in our K-12 system, 1 in 8th grade, 1 in 10th grade. And we know that those challenges have been exacerbated coming out of COVID. And we also know those challenges are real because you all have told us about that. Let me explain. A few years ago, when I was Attorney General, Representative Schweier and Schlossberg, I think they were the 2 in office at the time, helped us pass something called Safe to Say. Y'all have Safe to Say on your phones? Now listen, it was an app that when I was AG, we thought would give young people the ability to let us know if, God forbid, someone was bringing a weapon to school, or God forbid, someone was going to do harm to others at school. Now, our 4 kids told me at the time, they're like, Dad, that is the dumbest idea ever. No one is ever going to use Safe to Say. I'm pleased to be able to stand before you in this microphone addressing the media to tell you my kids were wrong and we were right. And we've gotten over 100,000 tips from students across Pennsylvania. Now, here's where I was wrong. Most of those tips had nothing to do, thank God, with someone bringing a weapon to school or doing harm to someone else in school. In fact, 80% of the tips that have come in have been about mental health. Students crying out for help, asking for services, asking for someone to talk to, identifying one of their friends, one of their peers that seemed like they needed help as well. And so we now, I think, are the only state in the country that have data driven by students saying we need more help. And I pledged if I was elected governor, we were going to do something about it. That $200 million we've invested is a beginning. We have other work to do when it comes to mental health. just by virtue of you asking that question, and by virtue of students all across Pennsylvania taking the time to tell us openly about mental health issues, you're doing a huge part of this by eliminating the stigma that has existed around mental health for a long time. A lot of adults in this room are nodding right now because they know that for a lot of adults, it's been something that you just didn't talk about. The fact that young people are talking about it is changing the dynamic when it comes to mental health. And importantly for this community, you remember what I said before about having the chairman from the Lehigh Valley leading the way on education? You have the Commonwealth's most respected voice on mental health representing the Lehigh Valley and representing Mike Schlossberg. Someone who has been open about his challenges in the past and using his challenges as a way to empower people going forward. And let me tell you something. A big reason why we've invested in student mental health and adult mental health is because of Representative Schlossberg. And so we are grateful for the students who have spoken up and have been the reason, the impetus for these investments. We're grateful to Representative Schlossberg and others who are willing to speak up and do this important work. And I want all the students here to know that we're just starting on this. If there are more things that you think we need to do to address it, more tools we need to give your superintendent, your principal, your teachers, you let us know because we're going to be here for you. Okay. Yes. Yep.
Lindsay Weber with the Morning Call.
Good luck following that, Lindsay. Those are tough questions.
I'll do my best. So you mentioned even with this historic investment in education, there is more work to be done. So I was wondering if you could outline some of your future funding priorities, and do you see an expansion of funding for vouchers playing a role in that?
I'll be announcing my further plans on education in my budget address in February. You can rest assured we are going to build on this progress that we've made. As I said, as Dan Uea has said, as I think Chairman and everyone else here has acknowledged, this is the opening round, and we have many more rounds, many more years to go to get us to full adequacy and full funding of education. I have been and will remain opposed to vouchers. A voucher is where you take money out of public education and you put it into private education. We're not draining any resources from public education. We are investing in public education. I have long said that of the scholarships we have in Pennsylvania, we already have about $500 million that we devote to scholarships. Directing some of that money toward poor kids in struggling school districts to help lift them up, that's something I'm willing to explore. That's something the House and Senate needs to continue to work on. But that is always additive to education. It's never taking money away from public education.
Jay Bradley, Lehigh Valley Public Media. Now, there are a collection of different charter schools in the Lehigh Valley area. I'm just wondering how you expect this budget and this bill to impact the landscape of charter schools and I guess the balance between charter schools and more traditional public schools.
Yeah. Well, I can let the chairman talk more specifically about the Lehigh Valley. In general, look, these are public charter schools. These existed long before I was governor. They continue to exist. If a student chooses to go to a charter school, then those dollars come from their public school district. That's something that we think we need to fix the reimbursement rate, particularly around cyber charters. That's an area that is draining too much money out of our public school system. It's something I called for in the budget. We took some steps on that, but like anything else, you got to continue to chip away at it, work at it, find areas of compromise. Anything you want to add on that?
No, that's all right.
Anything else from the media? Great. Well, I'm going to get a chance to visit with some of the students and the Hornet. We'll have to take a photo there. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here today. I want to again say thank you to your lawmakers for standing up for you. Thank you to your teachers. Thank you to all of the administrators here who work hard every single day. We got your backs, and we're going to continue to work hard with you in making sure that all of our kids get an opportunity here in Pennsylvania to chart their own course and to do great things like Miriam and all the students here. Thanks very much.